Alright, listen up, you glorified monkeys. We've been sold a steaming pile of crap about history's greatest thinkers, and it's time to call bullshit. You know those guys we put on pedestals? Jesus, Buddha, Socrates? Turns out they weren't divine beings shitting out wisdom from on high. They were flesh and blood, just like us, only with bigger balls and sharper minds. But here's where it gets fucked up. The powers that be couldn't handle these badasses calling out their bullshit, so they did what any self-respecting asshole would do. They rewrote the script. They took these revolutionary motherfuckers and turned them into squeaky clean saints. It's like taking a whiskey-swilling, truth-telling grandpa and turning him into a Hallmark card. Think about it. Jesus wasn't just some glowy-eyed savior floating around on a cloud. He wasn't even just a radical Jewish teacher. He was a fucking philosopher, more in line with those Greek badasses than the religious zealots. He was out there dropping wisdom bombs that had more in common with Socrates than your average rabbi. But now, he's a blue-eyed poster boy for behaving yourself and not asking too many questions. This dude was walking around like a Greco-Roman sage, gathering disciples, engaging in public debates, and using teaching methods that would make Diogenes proud. He was bringing that Hellenistic heat to Jewish thought, and it scared the shit out of the establishment. No wonder they nailed him to a cross. He was too damn dangerous alive. But what did we do? We stripped away all that philosophical badassery and turned him into a meek and mild messiah. We took a guy who was challenging the very foundations of thought in his time and reduced him to a cosmic vending machine for wishes and miracles. It's like taking Nietzsche and turning him into a motivational poster. And Buddha? Holy shit, talk about a PR makeover. This guy wasn't just some fat, jolly bastard you rub for good luck. He was a fucking prince who looked at his cushy life and said, "This is bullshit." He ditched the palace, the hot wife, the kid, all of it, to go sit under a tree and think really hard about why life sucks so much. But here's the kicker. Buddha wasn't out there preaching about some magical sky daddy or promising eternal bliss if you just believe hard enough. No, this motherfucker was dropping truth bombs that would make most people's heads explode. He was basically saying, life is shit, and it's probably your fault, but here's how to deal with it. He was telling people to question everything, to not take anyone's word as gospel, not even his. Can you imagine any religious leader today saying, "Don't believe me, test it out for yourself"? Fat chance. But what did we do with this revolutionary thinker? We turned him into a goddamn lawn ornament. We took his radical ideas about detachment and self-reliance and twisted them into some new age bullshit about good vibes and inner peace. It's like taking a nuclear physicist and making him the mascot for a fucking energy drink. The real Buddha would probably look at our modern mindfulness industry and laugh his skinny ass off. He wasn't about selling you $200 yoga pants or a subscription to a meditation app. He was about facing the harsh realities of existence head on and figuring out how to deal with them without losing your shit. But nah, we couldn't handle that. So we fattened him up, slapped a smile on his face, and stuck him in the corner of every Asian fusion restaurant from here to Timbuktu. It's enough to make you want to renounce your attachments to modern society and go sit under a tree yourself. They've sanitized these social geniuses so much, it's like using a flamethrower to clean your asshole. They've stripped away everything that made these thinkers dangerous, everything that made them human, and turned them into untouchable icons. Why? Because if you think these guys were just like us, you might get the crazy idea that you could think for yourself too. Can't have that, can we? Might fuck up the whole system. So here's your wake-up call, dipshits. The next time you're force-fed some sanitized version of a historical figure, use that gray matter between your ears. Ask yourself, what were they really saying? Who were they really pissing off? And how has history repackaged their ideas into easily digestible, non-threatening bullshit? It's time to see through the divine smokescreen and recognize these thinkers for what they really were. Badass, critical thinking motherfuckers who dared to challenge the status quo. They weren't gods, they were humans who gave enough of a shit to speak up. So are you gonna keep swallowing the sanitized Kool-Aid, or are you gonna start seeing these figures for the revolutionary thinkers they really were? The choice is yours, but for fuck's sake, choose wisely. The future of free thinking depends on it. And here's the real kicker. These social geniuses weren't just spouting off random shit. They had the rare ability to see through the bullshit of their time, to understand the deep currents of human society that most people were too fucking blind to notice. They could envision alternatives when everyone else was stuck in the same old crap. Take Socrates. We paint him as this wise old fuck asking gentle questions. In reality, he was pissing off so many powerful people with his relentless questioning that they made him drink poison. Now that's some hardcore philosophical shit. These weren't just people with good ideas. They had the intellectual firepower of a nuclear warhead, combined with the street smarts of a con artist and the charisma of a rock star. They could see the invisible structures shaping our societies and had the titanium balls to challenge them. But what do? We strip away everything that made them human, everything that made them relatable. We turn them into marble statues and stained glass windows. It's like we're so fucking terrified of their real message that we have to bury it under a mountain of pious bullshit. And why? Because if we saw these figures for who they really were, flawed, complex humans who still managed to change the world, we might realize we have the same potential. Can't have the peasants getting ideas above their station, can we? So here's your mission. Should you choose to accept it, next time you encounter one of these sanitized saints, dig deeper. Look for the dirt, the controversy, the shit that made them a real threat to the powers that be. That's where you'll find the real gold. Because here's the truth. These weren't gods or saints or superhuman beings. They were people who dared to think differently, to challenge the bullshit around them. And if they could do it, so can you. So are you gonna keep worshiping at the altar of bullshit? Or are you gonna start seeing these thinkers for who they really were? The choice is yours. But remember, in a world full of sheep, sometimes the most revolutionary act is to simply use your fucking brain. And here's the real gut punch. What happened to most of these revolutionary thinkers? They got fucking murdered, martyred, silenced. The same establishments they were trying to challenge put them 6 feet under. Jesus, crucified, MLK, assassinated, Socrates, forced to drink poison, and countless others whose names we'll never know because history has a way of erasing the truly dangerous ideas. But here's the real mindfuck. The same systems that killed them then turned around and co-opted their legacies. They took these radical, system-challenging ideas and twisted them into tools of control. It's like using a revolutionary's bones to build a fucking throne. They removed these thinkers from the minds of the very people they were trying to wake up and protect, turned their sharp, dangerous ideas into dull, feel-good platitudes. It's the ultimate fuck you to everything these people stood for. So next time you see a sanitized version of these historical figures, remember, you're looking at a crime scene. These weren't just great thinkers, they were casualties in the war against free thought. And by buying into the bullshit, sanitized versions of their stories, we're letting the killers win. It's time to dig up the real legacies of these martyred visionaries, to uncover the dangerous ideas that got them killed, because in their real, uncensored thoughts, we might just find the tools to challenge the bullshit of our own time. Are you ready to see past the halos and hear the real, revolutionary messages? Or are you gonna keep swallowing the sanitized, neutered versions that keep you docile and compliant? The choice is yours. But remember, in a world that profits from your ignorance, thinking for yourself is a revolutionary act. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.